Appreciate you guys a ton being here. Lots of questions. I might hit you kind of thematically. We'll do you second, if that's okay, Jerry, since you just were up here. There's a lot of people coming to know Jesus or wanting to follow Jesus, but coming from other religions, maybe ex-Muslim or Hindu. How do you feel like those people wrestle with some of these cultural things, and maybe what things can we do to help people navigate some of those conversions?
Well, that's a tough question. Well, obviously, there are some quality of life issues in your case. You got to be respectful, not backing down on belief system, but just respectful and kind and teachable instead of condemning or anything like that. That's important. To be welcoming, to be hospitable. Again, this is what the Christian movement has been doing for 2,000 years, is breaking those cultural barriers, going to India and South America and China and lots of other places in the world and figuring out how to negotiate the process of presenting the gospel in a clear, winsome, authentic way to people whose worldview runs very contrary. Again, it's one thing to reach somebody who's a church dropout from third grade. I was one of those. It's something different when you're reaching, say, a Muslim or Hindu or atheist or somebody flirting with New Age religion, even somebody who believes in Oprah's religion. All kinds of varieties, and I think we do that carefully and slowly and generously and sweetly, but without compromise. I mean, one of the things that's important about the early Christian period is it would have been so easy for those early Christians to figure out how to negotiate some kind of truce with the Roman world. There was a 3rd century philosopher by the name of Porphyry who said, we'd love to welcome Jesus into the pantheon of Rome's gods. Do you realize how convenient it would have been for Christians to do that? It would have gotten Rome off their back. They didn't do it. They believed in Christo-exclusivity. There's one way to be made right with God, and it's through Jesus Christ and what he's done on the cross and in the resurrection. They wouldn't compromise. They could have been really sectarian and withdrawn out of fear or self-protection. They didn't do either. They found that very, very thin sweet spot where they were uncompromising, but they didn't withdraw into isolation. And we do that through relationship. Through relationship. The other thing that I want to say is, and this is happening more and more in American culture, is fewer and fewer people know the story. Fewer and fewer people have any kind of root system in historic Christianity. So we're going to have a bigger job on our hands to help them develop that root system of clear understanding and practice of Christianity, and it's not going to be a quick and easy process anymore. That's why I think you need structures in your church where you are helping them drive that root system deeper, where they're practicing disciplines, they're really learning the Bible, they're learning how to live for God day in and day out. That's going to require patience and attentiveness and some structures to help that happen. And that's what's going to happen as we reach people who are farther removed from our world and a kind of easy Christianity.
This is kind of a follow-up, but another question here as well, Jerry, that there may be previous religious experience like a Muslim or a Hindu background that hampers or causes people to struggle with Christianity, or things that are going to get shirked off in a different order than we would be comfortable with. Yeah. And additionally, people are coming from different denominational backgrounds as well. And we're planting churches in Spokane. That's a very de-churched city that a lot of people have been there and done that when it comes to church, right? And so how do we kind of bridge those cultural barriers as well, going planting more churches here in this region and throughout the world?
Well, let's start with people from other churches first. I mean, this is inevitable in American Christianity. We've got denominations. We have a religious free enterprise system in the United States. So people can decide, that Methodist church or that Presbyterian church is boring. I'm going to come to real life instead. Some of that's going to happen.
Yes.
Some of you Some of you have come from other churches. I get that. And I'm not here to condemn you. That's
Except
fine.
for Life Center. Nobody's come from Life Center that goes here.
If you've found a good home here and you're growing in the faith, then bless you. I wouldn't recruit people from other churches, and it might actually be good sometime to say, are you sure? Do you need to go back with salt, leaven, and light in that church and bring life to it? But some of that's going to be inevitable. I just don't think we should take a lot of pride in it. That's, again, that 1 degree of separation, not 3 or 4. It's easy to win somebody who's from a Catholic background or a Presbyterian background or a Pentecostal background or whatever it happens to be. If they find a church home here, great. I wouldn't specialize in that. In the case of people who are farther removed, who come from, say, another religion, there has to be, in my mind, a kind of neutral zone where they can get to know what they're getting themselves into before they make a premature commitment to the gospel. One of the advantages the early Christian period had was persecution. And the reason why it was advantageous is it was basically sending a warning signal that said, you better think twice about becoming Christian, because if you do, there's a chance you could die for it. And that would tend to make for a little slower process of becoming Christian. When people became Christian, they were really sure. In fact, there's a famous document from the year 200. Somebody was asking the question, well, gosh, what happens if a person dies, i.e., dies for Christ before they're baptized? And the author, Hippolytus, said, oh, that's okay. They're baptized in their own blood.
These are the parts of church history that really intrigue us, Jerry. So you made one statement. I just want to go back to it. Christo exclusivity.
Christo exclusivity. Jesus is the only way. He is the final revelation of God come as a human being. What more can God do than this? I mean, think about it. What more can God do than to show up in person and to say, this is who I am, this is how I love, this is what I am going to do and did for you?
Thank you. Can you hand the mic to Joe?
Sorry for the fancy word.
No, this is amazing.
I'm kind of showing up once in a while. You know, I got to do that.
Love it. We love it. We love it, don't we? We love it. And I will do a sales pitch for the Academy in the sense that I one of my prayers in having Jerry here tonight with us was to stir a hunger in you, that you're going, man, what is Christo exclusivity like? I want to know more. These Academy trainings, church, are a really amazing opportunity for us to learn from these kinds of minds. Like, I'm not this kind of mind, right? Like, I just get excited up here. That's all I do. Like this guy, yeah, he's got a lot more going on. I want you to learn from men like this. So make sure you visit him out there.
Besides, when you learn about early Christianity, you get all kinds of cool names you can name your dogs and cats. How about this? Paphnutius. That is really cool, isn't it?
I'd love to scream that down the street when I'm looking for my dog, right? Paphnutius.
I named my dog Jerry. Yeah, it was just...
He's always peeing.
Is that why he pees on you all the time? All right. So let's get serious, Joe. You were talking about the gestation period of a church, right? Earlier, the birth canal, I think, was your okay. We lost them all. Okay. How do you know when you're, as a church, when you're pregnant? How do you know when you're ready as a church? Not, you know.
Yeah, you're pregnant. Yeah. You're ready. Yeah.
How do we know? How do we know?
Well, as I said, I think it starts with a leader. I mean, first it starts with you as a leader, having a vision for this and casting that vision to your church. But then when God gives you a leader that's ready to plant, then you know you're ready. And, yeah, it's just about that simple, I think.
And then you said about 18 months for the Russian church plant specifically. Is that a normal time frame of kind of gestation
yeah, that
to get somebody ready?
The ladies out here are all
I'm
squirming in
sorry.
pain,
I
you know.
know.
It's hard. It depends. once we identify a leader and sit down with that leader and develop a plan, typically, I'd say it's about 12 months. It could be 18. We made a mistake. Our first church plan, I tell you, we learned a lot from that. From the time that we announced it until we sent this church off was 13 months. And in that 13 months, I gave this young leader, I called it an unlimited fishing license. I said, ask anyone you want. And so he did. He asked my staff. He asked our church council. You'll love this. He asked our business administrator for the list of top givers and went down the list. And, yeah, he asked anybody.
Wow.
And, yeah. He did ask me at one point, yes, if I would come and work with him. But here's, the thing was that 13 months was, in this case, every case is different. In that case, the 13 months was a little too long. By the time we got to the last few months, I mean, it had become burdensome, distasteful, And yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, please leave now. And so the next one was 9 months. We've done some as short as 5 months. It just depends on the leader. The 18 months was because this was international, and also I invited that pastor into my mentor group, and just personally mentored him for the 18 months. So
okay. One last question: when you are building a church planning team to send, or you're coaching somebody to do so, what are maybe some specific talents, abilities that you're looking for? Do you have a team that has to be certain holes that have to be filled before they're ready to go, or is it just kind of up to the leader, whoever you feel needs to go, wants to go with you? Well,
again, it does start with the leader, and in terms of what his vision is and how he wants to approach this, because we've planted different kinds of churches. If you want to do a church like this, it's nice to have someone who can sing. Right? Yeah, you want someone who can lead worship. It's nice to have someone who can take care of the kids and do a terrific job. I mean, there are just a few basic pieces that, if you want to do this kind of a Sunday deal, it's going to take that. If you're going to do a thing that's, say, more missional community, where it's going to be, we're not going to put our big emphasis on a big Sunday service, but on our service in the community and networking, that kind of thing, you want different kinds of gifts. So that's why I say it depends on the leader and their vision, and they build a team around that vision.
Maybe one last kind of admonishment to us as a church who's been praying about, planning, talking about being a sending church. One thing maybe you would challenge us with or encourage us with.
That last point, to go for it. I mean, you just got to kind of drive a stake in the ground and say, God's called us to do this. We're going to do it. It's going to cost us. We know it's going to cost us. There's going to be some pain, some sacrifice, but it's worth it for the kingdom. And so you just kind of suck it up and go for it. There's my admonition. Suck it up.
I love it. Can we thank these two men for their investment tonight?